Hello, dear ones, participants of the Territory of Love project. Today, I'm pleased to welcome you to this annually beloved project where we talk about love. And today is no exception. Today, we will talk about the main feeling, probably, in every person's life. And today, I will introduce myself to you. My name is Yulia Chertova. I am a neurographics instructor and aesthetic coach, a neuroartist, neuromaster, and supervisor at the Institute of Psychology and Creativity. Today, as we stand on the threshold of spring, I invite you to draw a spring bouquet of flowers with me. And I want to ask you, tell me, with what bouquet of flowers, with which flowers do you associate spring or a holiday? March 8th. Our project started on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, and it will conclude exactly on March 8th. And for this holiday, we will draw today a beautiful spring bouquet of flowers. With which flowers do you associate March 8th? Lilies of Valley, I see. Comments are coming in. Today I will be reading comments on several platforms. Our broadcast is live. Peonies or tulips? Tulips, I see again, Lyudmila writes. Of course, you can draw any flowers you like. Peonies? If you want to draw peonies, draw peonies. If you want to draw lilies of the valley, you can even draw daisies. I see another comment again, tulips. And I suggest we draw today tulips as they are associated right now, specifically with the spring holiday. And just depicting tulips on paper, they are very beautiful. They have a diverse range of colors. And these won't be just any tulips. Each flower will symbolize a different language of love. There will be 5 of them. Today, we will talk about the 5 love languages that I wrote about in my book. Gary Chapman, it's hard to pronounce his last name. And these are the love languages that he named. Words of affirmation, quality time spent together, gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Why is it important to know the love language of our loved ones and our partner? Because when we talk to each other, we understand what language we are speaking. We have linguistic languages. For example, today we are broadcasting in Russian, and you are listening in Russian. But we have people on the air who know other languages as well. Surely, there are many participants here who speak English, who speak French, Italian, Spanish, and so on. And if we only know one language, we go to another country and we encounter a language barrier. It's the same in relationships. If we don't know how our partner expresses their feelings, how they show their love, what language they speak, if we don't hear, don't understand, and use a different love language ourselves, and at the same time, our partner also doesn't understand what our love language is. A language barrier arises in the family, in relationships, which needs to be overcome to improve the relationship. Today, we will talk about these languages of love. I will now switch to the camera on a sheet of paper, and we will start drawing tulips. Each flower will represent a language, a separate language of love. What a wonderful topic. Oleshka, thank you so much. Yes, today's topic will be not only wonderful, but also beneficial. Today, you can watch this webinar and draw, but you can also rewatch it and take notes, because it will really come in handy in life. It's such a great practice, and you can apply all this knowledge later in your family with your loved ones. The tulips will be located. I want to draw them large, approximately like this. 5 flowers. I will show you a scheme now. These are the kind of stems and leaves. This is approximately how the arrangement will be on the sheet. This is a sample sheet I have here. You can draw with markers or you can draw with pencils. The tulips are delicate pink, yellow, white. Tulips can be multicolored with smooth petals or double-petaled. Draw whatever you like. Neurographics, by the way, allows you to draw double-petaled. Tulips, today, I want to use pink and draw them live. Not too bright, so that later in the stylization process I can enhance the colors. I'll try to pick one of these pinks. I'll start drawing the first flower. I've already sketched a bit of the scheme for you here. And we'll talk about the first love language. This is the love language of words of affirmation, words of confirmation, the fact that we are loved, verbal support for people who possess this love language. Words have great power, and now we will draw. These in the center. Here, we'll draw the first petal. Let it be bionic like this. A petal like this, some kind of... The second petal appears as a tulip. Can you see it? Hello, so for some, spring is associated with snowdrops. Basically a tulip that has petals like this. Something like this. You can draw open buds, or you can draw closed ones. As you see fit, as you like. Just one petal, another out inside. There are some petals. Roses are drawn almost the same way. Tulips are even simpler. I will immediately start drawing and coloring. Something resembling such a little tulip it turned out when I finished my drawing. I think it will be wonderful. And so the first love language is words for people who speak the language of love. Words of affirmation. It's very important to them. What we say, they need it. It's very important for them to hear words of affirmation. They really need to hear, I love you, you're doing great, you're wonderful. If you recognize yourself, or if you might already be familiar with this topic, then type plus signs. Type plus signs in the chat if you recognize yourself, if words of affirmation are important to you. These people love compliments. These people love praise. They feel loved, especially in those moments when their partner expresses it verbally. When the partner says direct words of love, for example, confesses their love, or says how beautiful you are, how well you're doing. And the most important thing is that these words are sincere, because a person whose love language is words of affirmation will immediately sense insincerity when the phrases are routine. You can say how amazing you look, how proud I am of you, how incredibly talented you are. And the same applies to your partner. Right now, I was reading this book. Praise is the love language for both me and my husband, Anastasia. You and your husband are lucky to speak the same love language because it is easier for you to express feelings to each other, and you feel affirmed in this case that you are loved. In fact, if, for example, your spouse is like this now, with a very light touch, I will add a pink color. Right now, I'm adding it so that later I can intensify it somewhere, make it semi-transparent, or mix it with some other colors. If your partner, for example, is a quiet person and finds it difficult to express words of affirmation to you, to express their love, thus they often remain silent, unable to say, you know, for example, a wife's love language is words. She waits for someone to say, darling, I love you, but he is a quiet person, and they live like this their whole life. She feels unloved. And he might love her, but just doesn't say it because his love language is different. What should be done in this case? In this case, you need to understand your partner, including knowing their love language. When you know their love language, it's easier for you to build a relationship in your couple in this way so that you both feel loved and needed by each other. And in this case, you can also directly talk to your partner and say, darling, it's so important for me to at least occasionally hear some nice, kind words from you. Yes, as they say, a kind word is pleasant even to a cat. Yes, here. If a person has the love language of words of affirmation, then they need it like air. Do you understand what I mean? Therefore, maybe even directly ask them, tell me, what do you think? You can ask some question or just say, I need you to praise me, or express some recognition with words at least once a month. In this case, it will be easier for the partner. They will know that this is important to you, and they will try to express their feelings in the way you desire. And you should also for them, exactly, make it clear that this is exactly what you were waiting for. Especially for a person with a love language, words of affirmation are needed as words of support in difficult times. When ordinary days come, we live and cope with our feelings, possibly of being unloved. If no words are spoken to the person, they somehow manage. But when a stressful situation or critical moments arise, that's when a person needs exactly these affirmations that they are loved, they need support. And people whose love language is words seek support precisely through words. At this moment, it's important, if your partner's love language is words, that it's crucial to say, I believe in you, you can handle it, I'm here, you can count on me. In other words, verbal support doesn't always have to be advice. This is verbal support, and specifically sincere and timely. If a person whose love language is words does something, it's important to praise them for these actions. Prepared. So here's a pencil, one of mine already broke. It's not for nothing that I prepared several pink ones. If a person with such a love language prepared a delicious dinner, baked a cake, of course he expects praise. He will be waiting for these words. He will be very pleased that he is appreciated, that he is being thanked. It's important to express gratitude not only for big actions, but also for small things, even if they seem insignificant. What hurts matches people with this love language. Love. If a person's love language is words, then criticism hurts them. Sarcasm, mockery. If someone, is teased in an unpleasant way, yes, for example, some might just let it go in one ear and out the other, laugh along with you. But if a person's love language is words, of course it will hurt them. These things, thank you. Unsuccessful humor, sarcasm, criticism, or they are hurt by silence, when, on the contrary, there are no signs of verbal affirmation at all. If a partner or loved ones do not say warm words, a person with this love language will feel unloved. They will possibly withdraw, feel hurt, get upset, and not feel that love that they need. Or devaluation, for example, they might be told that it doesn't matter, you're exaggerating. Of course, you should not devalue such a person. How to understand if you have this love language or not, or if it's some other one? Answer these questions for yourself. Do you need praise and kind words from loved ones? Do you have a strong need for this? Do you get upset when you're not verbally acknowledged? Do you enjoy receiving compliments and gratitude? Does criticism hurt you? And do you often express your love with words yourself? If this is your love language, then you will also express it yourself, often using words telling others words of love. This is not mandatory. About relationships with a partner, even if you tell your friend, how much I value you, such a friend, worth your weight in gold. I cherish our friendship. You're doing great. If you often give compliments in words to your friend, to your friends, then your love language is weak. And now I would like to say that to use this language, if you, for instance, understand that the language of your partner or the language of your loved ones, it might be your parents, your children, and your friends. If any of your loved ones have a love language of words, then you simply need to express words of love more often, frequently offer recognition, gratitude, and compliments. And now we will move on to the next love language. We will draw the next little tulip here and display it next to this little tulip. This is the language of time, which means time is quality time spent with each other. If a person doesn't care about what is said to them, of course, it might still be important. But most important is the attention given to them, to their partners. For people with this love language, the quality of time spent together is more important than words, gifts, or actions. They feel loved precisely when time is devoted to them. This can be traveling, it can be dates, it can be walks together, but most importantly, you can even invite your partner to watch a movie together, take a nice leisurely walk, or even perhaps enjoy a relaxing evening, such as, but if during this time he gets distracted, for example, you're having dinner, whether in a restaurant, a cafe, or at home, you've prepared a wonderful dinner and decided to spend time together. And during this time, he gets distracted, sitting on his phone, for example. For the person whose love language is time, it will hurt. It will cause unpleasant feelings that not all the attention during the time you spend together is being given to each other. If during a conversation you don't make eye contact, if you get distracted by your phone. Yes, Zara writes that she's not in a relationship, but all her close ones and friends know that she is a person of emotions and has accustomed everyone to hugs. It's wonderful that you know your love language and communicate it to others. And at the same time, your friends and close ones, they know that to express their feelings to you, they need to hug you. Yes, you've accustomed everyone to hugs. This is precisely building comfortable relationships. When you know about yourself, the love language you speak, people with the love language of time, they love deep conversations, sitting together, talking, joint walks, travels, maybe cooking dinner together, and maybe just enjoying each other's company. Watching a movie together, even just sitting, I don't know, in the garden, in a gazebo somewhere, in silence. But the most important thing is to dedicate time to this person. If suddenly one partner is very busy and their partner needs attention, it needs to be communicated. Darling, you know, your attention is so important to me. I suggest you dedicate time to our relationship. And in your busy schedule, for example, include spending gush time together. Let's plan to go to the movies every, I don't know, third Sunday of the month. Or let's plan to have a date every specific period of time or once a month. This is very important to me. Only then do I feel that I am needed by you. That is, speak directly if your partner has a different love language in, or a very busy schedule. They are always at work. You don't see them and you feel unloved. And so this language barrier arises You need to know everything about yourself. You need to know their love language and talk about it, negotiate, and build relationships in such a way that it is comfortable, not only for you, but also for your partner as well. What hurts a person with the love language of time, for example, if a person is not given any attention at all, if the partner is physically present but emotionally disconnected, they get distracted, it's like they're absent. You're sitting together, but it's like their thoughts are somewhere else, meaning they haven't directed their attention towards you and your love language, for example, time, and you feel like this time is just passing by. Meaning you're together, but it's like they're somewhere far away. Such absence during shared time together also hurts a person whose love language is time. Also, if you feel that for your partner, it's like a duty, like they went to the movies with you or for a walk just to check it off the list, for example. Well, she needs it, so I'll go with her. Or breaking an agreement promised and didn't fulfill, or when they don't pay attention at all, as mentioned earlier, when it feels like there's never enough of that shared time together. Therefore, for people with this love language, words and gifts are less important than spending time together. It's necessary to plan meetings. For those whose love language is like this, I suggest you come up with 5 ways to spend time together and propose them to your partner. You need to create some shared traditions, consciously spend time together without gadgets. And then, of course, in relationships, those sparks will appear that perhaps were there at the very beginning of the relationship. The next love language is very pleasant. It's the love language of gifts. Of course, this is not about materialism or mercantilism. For those whose love language is gifts, it's also about attention, but expressed through gifts. And if a person whose love language is gifts doesn't receive any gifts, even the most insignificant ones, it could even be a note slipped into a pocket, then this person, of course, will feel unloved. They will want some gifts, they will want attention, specifically expressed through gifts. You can make such surprises. I don't know. You can give flowers for no reason. You can give a book that the person has wanted for a long time. Specifically, considering this person's interests, which gifts are routine, which are given. For example, if I'm not a fisherman, why give me a fishing rod, right? Accordingly, taking into account all interests, what the person wants, knowing what your partner wants, what they are passionate about, those are the kinds of gifts. Considering interests, they are very important. And gifts that are just for show, just to buy something, just so he's satisfied and leaves me alone with his gifts. You haven't given me flowers for a long time. I love roses, and you give me tulips. I love peonies, and you give me lilies. Of course, such gifts for a person with this love language can upset them, because for them it's very important. They attach great significance to it, and it's something you need to be aware of. And of course, you need to say, here's a gift. I thought of you. I planned it. Perhaps in this case, you need to plan some surprises. The person can also, some events. I bought tickets for a play or a trip, some kind of journey, something that is prepared especially for this person. As they say, simply put, you went out of your way, went and searched for something. This is what a person will appreciate with the love language of gifts. They will be delighted, of course. They will feel loved. In this way, some leaves are being sketched here. Tulips have straight, smooth leaves. They can be slightly wavy. I also took a light green pencil so that later, to somehow enhance, bring out the colors in the drawing so they are brighter, more interesting. Maybe mix some colors. If people with the love language of gifts forget dates, it will hurt them. Forgetting birthdays, forgetting anniversaries, then of course it will offend and hurt such people. Here it's very important to know and remember, if your partner's love language is gifts and yours is not, and you forget everything when you celebrate your traditional holidays, it's better to set a reminder in your calendar, like an alarm, or they are hurt by the absence of gifts. In general, basically, that is, gifts are absent. Just imagine how to live together, build a relationship if your love language is gifts and your partner completely forgets about gifts, doesn't give you flowers at all. And in general, forgot when the last time was something interesting. He doesn't even remember it. He has a different language. He might be doing some actions. He might be doing things. Maybe he helps you. Perhaps he expresses his love differently or simply says words. That's what he thinks. But buying a gift, remembering an anniversary, he completely forgets about that. That's why it's important to talk to each other and communicate. It's very important to me if you arrange a surprise for me. And by the way, for a person whose love language is gifts, if you give money, and constantly money, of course, we all would probably be happy if our husband transferred us some amount of money. Our desires, the things we've wanted for a long time, but this turns out to be impersonal for a person whose love language is gifts. Here's some money, go get it yourself. That is, the person doesn't get involved in choosing these gifts. You know, it's important here that he wants to somehow show himself, specifically to give what you need, that he finds and orders it himself. The necklace or that bracelet or the ring that you put in the family wish list has been there for a year, yes. So that he finds and orders that handbag and so on. This is very important, rather than just giving money and telling you to go order and choose it yourself. This is very important. And soulless obligatory gifts from such a person will also hurt. If you love giving gifts yourself, if you need to be given a gift, and without it you feel just like an unloved person, that is, if you need such confirmation, those who recognize themselves put pluses in the chat. Yes, Maria writes, it seems I am multilingual. Actually, we will talk about this a little later at the end. Each of us has several languages of love. However, there is one main leading one. If you recognize yourself, you can say, that's me. I have definitely determined that my language is gifts. In this case, you also show love to others through gifts. You love giving gifts. You love making unusual surprises. You enjoy gathering some personalized gifts. So when it's New Year, holidays, remember how you behave with your friends, what you do in those moments. That is, if you are exactly the person who looks for gifts for everyone so that each one has an individual approach, some kind of, then this is exactly your love language. If you express yourself in this way, there you go. A wonderful love language for men. But Natalie Young is right, men still need to verbally express their desires. When I started doing this, I received exactly what I wanted. That's the moment. This is what I am already talking about regarding the third language. If your partner doesn't know your language, you should correctly say, dear, for me, it's very important to receive flowers from you, at least once in a while. And you tell him verbally, because only through discussion do you build these relationships And, I also want to say that dialogues should be constructed in a way that is comfortable for both partners. If your love language is time and your partner has a busy schedule and you demand from him every evening a joint walk for 2.5 hours, and if he didn't go for a walk with you, you might, I don't know, get upset, cry or something else and say that he doesn't love you. Oh, you're like that, you don't love me, you were at work. Instead of course, this will already be at the expense of the partner. You need to communicate what is important to you and find those moments that will be comfortable for both to build comfortable relationships. The next love language is acts of service. Here we are. Now, I'll bring out the petal. We have these tulips that are more or less closed. Now I will draw an open tulip. 10, I will sketch an open petal like this. If anyone needs help, you can write in the chat. Who behaves this way towards their loved ones or partners? Ready to do everything for another person, to help in some way their partner, their loved one. By the way, they might already be speaking the language of love. In the language of love, help is already being given by our parents who are many years old from their children. Now, when we help them come over, do something around the house or provide some other assistance, bring or take something to your parents' country house, or the parents have harvested crops at the country house. You came, helped them, maybe even with the harvest or somewhere else. Parents in this way feel love from you because perhaps they already have this language of love towards you, which is help. Help, what else can express this language of love? For example, if your partner washed the dishes, cleaned up, helped you with the child, what else can help? Even some insignificant things. We mainly expect help from the stronger sex because after all, our men are physically then stronger. But we can too show this help and care towards your partner if he speaks this language of love. If he needs this support, help. A man got sick, lay down, temperature 37, God forbid. Take care of him, bring him water, bring him medicine, wrap him in a warm blanket, put a thermometer under his arm. All of this will make the man happy. He will know that my wife loves me. Because his language, precisely the language of love, is help. And these are the actions you take towards each other. Therefore, pay attention precisely to the language of love, not only your own, but also the language of love of your partner. What hurts people with the language of love, help, and service? It is indifference to their requests. If your partner asks for help, or you ask for help and the partner ignores it or says, yes, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, for example, postpones it or treats it, well, from their own considerations, somewhat irresponsibly, yes, meaning they don't understand that this is very important to you. The same can be communicated to them, that this is very significant to you. Thus, if they didn't help you, you asked them to take out the trash and they didn't. It might seem, where is the love here? But a person whose love language is acts of service will think they don't love me. I asked them for once to take out the trash and they didn't. How come? Do you understand? And for other people with a love language of words or gifts, the trash doesn't even come to mind. Thank you. It doesn't come to mind. And they can't even understand why you are upset, why you are disappointed. Because love languages are different and this creates a language barrier. That's why you need to keep the promises you make. You need to help when it really matters. That is, for such people, neither words nor gifts are important. For such people, actions are needed, specifically concrete ones. actions that show you are ready to do things for the person, to take action. And if your partner towards you is ready to take some actions to help, he will help you there, help with the children and wash the dishes. If you asked to take out the trash, he ran and took it out. He brought you, took you, even if he himself is running late somewhere, but you asked him to take you, I don't know, to the shopping mall. He went with you because his love language is like that. He is ready to help you. But at the same time, he doesn't express it with words. More often, the silent types who can't say I love you with words, who don't sing serenades under the window, they tend to express themselves more in this love language, which is about helping, which is about actions. Marina, Yulia, glad to be together. Marina, very glad to see you on the broadcast. Beautiful tulips, thank you. So we move on to the last love language. This is the love language of physical touch. I'm speeding up a bit because we need to finish the drawing and finish, yes, about the love languages, and that's all. Learn and understand each language to find out which is your love language. So physical touch is just like air, like water. It's essential for those people whose love language is touch. If they are not touched, if they are not caressed, if they are not hugged. Today in the chat, we already read about hugs. Then this person feels unnecessary, unloved, as if something is missing. It seems like they are given gifts and actions are taken for them. But if all of this is at a distance, if there are no physical touches, perhaps in childhood there was none from another person. When the love language is most often expressed to children, physical touch, we hug, kiss, we can carry them in our arms, hold them by the hand. Often we can sit them on our laps at a certain age. This is during adolescence. Children start to distance themselves from us. Those who had these tender affections in childhood, is we commonly say that person will also show it in adult life. For them, the love language of touch will be important. There are people who are not tactile, who do not need a lot of touching. Imagine you are cooking in the kitchen, chopping onions for soup, and your husband comes up from behind and wants to hug you. It seems right, here you are with the onions and he's behind you and you're not tactile, but your husband needs to hug. Who else has this situation? Write pluses in the chat who recognize them. Accordingly, your husband's love language is touch, because he can't just walk past you. He absolutely needs to hug you. He absolutely needs to touch you. Accordingly, his love language is touch. So you understand this and you also express your love language to him in this way, because it's important to him, meaning if you're not a tactile person, but your partner's love language is touch, you find this time for yourself and know that it's important to him. Perhaps while watching a movie, place his head on your lap, stroke his hair, occasionally give him a massage, hug him when he leaves or comes home, when saying goodbye or greeting, just hug and kiss him. This is very important for those people whose love language is touch. And intimacy here is not always about that. Here, precisely. This is also important for people whose love language is touch. But here it's more about those touches like hugs, unexpected kisses, touches like stroking, embracing, approaching, kissing, just because this is very important. What hurts for people whose love language is physical touch, it's certainly the distance. If the partner rarely touches, if they put their hand on you or you put your hand on them and you pull away, if you go to sleep in different rooms, of course, it's convenient for many, I don't argue, but for The love language of touch, it's very important. And the further the physical distance from you, the harder it is for the partner to cope. They might even feel rejected if you don't show tactile affection towards them. Of course, for example, if the partner avoids touch or doesn't take the initiative, it might make the partner feel as if there's indifference towards them. And it could simply be that the person is not tactile. So more often, such people need to be hugged, more often touched, more frequently. Perhaps when you watch a movie together, if those people whose love language is words or gifts, they might, I don't know, sit on different chairs, on different sofas, but those whose love language is touch, they will definitely be cuddling. This person will definitely rest their head on your shoulder or you on theirs, because in this case, it will mean a lot. These are what appeared on our sheet. Tulips. Right now, mine are still in pale colors, but I will be refining them, as I mentioned to you, by adding more color. I also suggest you do the same to color the tulips. Perhaps here, add some yellow to the edges. Here, the yellow appears, becomes visible. Enhance with another pink, take a darker one, make it stand out. Right here along the edges, like this, blending it, transitioning like a gradient to the upper part of the petal, leaving the upper part of the petal semi-transparent, so the color isn't evenly filled. But with these kinds of transitions, then your drawing will look beautiful and voluminous. I'm reading your comments. Yes, I grew up in a family where all conversations start and end with hugs. Dad 70. No kiss, that's right. This is a very vivid expression of the primary love language, physical touch. But mom is not like that. I got this from my dad. It's so good that you understand this. I will definitely repeat it on a larger format. The bouquet probably didn't fit. Natalia Ivanova. Thank you, Natalia. Very nice. How interesting. Thank you for the broadcast. Very glad to see you on the broadcast. It's a pleasure for me. And you have already mentioned here in the comments, writing about how to determine the primary love language and what to do if all languages are important. So I'm checking the time. 46 minutes already. Subtitles made by Dimitar Zuk. Now I suggest we decorate our drawing with a spring branch of mimosa. And we'll talk about it while I draw the mimosa. I took a yellow pencil and I'm just drawing little circles. Let's talk about the importance of all love languages. And yet we have one primary language. Or do we speak all languages? Here, we need to ask ourselves how we express ourselves in stressful situations, when we live our normal life, when everything is good, everything is wonderful, and we are in a great mood. We might think that we have different love languages, but when a stressful event occurs, at this moment, think about it. In some difficult time, support is important to us when things are really tough, what we want most at that moment. Think about it for yourself. To be hugged, to be held, stroked, and at the same time for them to be silent and say nothing. Or am I feeling so bad today? What if my husband comes home with a bouquet of flowers? I would just melt. And no words are needed. And someone needs their loved one to come up and say, "You're doing great, you'll manage, I love you, everything will be fine for us." Do you understand? That's when the most peak, vivid moments, either of a stressful, dramatic nature or very bright flashes of happiness. In what moments they were, they manifested as something. And in these vivid moments, you can discover your primary love language, what is most important to you from your partner, in your relationship, in the support of your partner. That will be your primary love language. And in life, yes, that's right. As you wrote, I am multilingual. We use different languages, and depending on the mood, depending on the situation. So how will my mimosa go here? Like this, probably somehow like this. You can draw clusters here. We simply draw circles in yellow and fill them in. You can add some shades to the mimosa circles. Drawing mimosas is actually easy. You can even take a highlighter like this. And the circles will be bright, and they will appear even more sunny on our sheet. And they will make our bouquet even more spring-like. So I was talking about different in expressions. One person can have several love languages, and there can be different expressions of feelings towards another person. Or, for example, you express your love language to your partner through touch, but you can't approach other people in a tactile way, to friends, acquaintances, or even perhaps to parents. Maybe you can only show tactile affection to your close person, while to others you express it through help or gifts, for example. So you've given gifts to all your friends, and in doing so, you've expressed yourself, your language. Neural lines can be drawn. Of course, now when the drawing is almost ready, you can draw neural lines in the background. Of course, we are working according to the basic algorithm. And here I will also add these mimosa branches, the branches of the mimosa are like little Christmas trees. I'm just quickly sketching now because I chose a broad topic today and I've talked a lot about it. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. If you're interested, you can find it on the internet, download it, or get the book in any bookstore. The author is named Gary Chapman. Or just Google the 5 love languages and the author will come up right away. These are the mimosa branches. And from them, you can also draw neural lines. Here, they will be green and yellow for me. I want to make the background blue. And most likely, this background will be right here in blue, which fades into a semi-transparent white color upwards. For the flowers, it will be darker. I'll start right here, yes, with blue. So you can make the entire background blue. What you can fix, draw the field line, is up to your discretion. We use, of course, the basic algorithm. We draw the background lines. I think there will be many of these neural lines in my drawing. They will be colorful. This, of course, does not negate the neurographic language. By the way, I'm taking this opportunity. I want to invite you to the conference that will take place this weekend, the Neurography Instructor Conference. Even if this year you are not yet planning to enroll in the instructor course, maybe someone is an instructor. Here we already have many instructors present. Still come to the conference, I invite you. Also upload your works in the album. The album is located in the ViContact group. I will visit in the first days and comment on all your works. I will write you comments, write your feedback, write about how you found today's masterclass. Did you learn something new about the languages of love? Will you apply it, or maybe already in the coming days? Somehow, the knowledge you gained today will already manifest, especially with the upcoming March 8th holidays. Such romantic holidays will soon be here. Accordingly, the knowledge we gained today can be confidently applied and expressed in your relationships, your love for your partner and your loved ones, not only in the language of love that you speak, but also by listening to the language of love of your partner and your loved ones. And also, I would like to say that The author of this book even has a test to determine your love language. If you are interested in this topic, you can find this book, and in the book, this test is available to find out what your love language is. If after today's broadcast, it has become clearer to you what your love language is, or what the main two leading love languages are, then you can find out what your partner's language is. And now I want to face you to finalize my drawing, which I will be drawing, refining, to reveal the mimosas, color my tulips more, draw lines in the background with blue to create the background. My drawing will still emerge. I will definitely post it in the V-Contact group and on Telegram. Now I'm facing you to thank you and say goodbye. My dear ones, thank you for today's broadcast, for being with me throughout this hour. You listened to me attentively and drew. I'm glad if this broadcast will be very useful and informative for you. And I'm glad that today we created so many beautiful, surely bouquets of incredible beauty, which we will see in the VK albums. I am reading your comments. Thank you. Thank you. The bouquet fit in. I just really like the algorithm. I want to tell you that this algorithm can be drawn in any other way. So Maria liked the algorithm. You want to draw it again? You can take 5 circles as symbols of the languages of love, 5 circles, and connect them with neural lines. You can draw 1 flower with 5 petals. And in this case, each petal will symbolize a particular language of love. Do you have, in this way, different drawings will appear? And your collection of paintings will be so diverse. Or perhaps today you were drawing tulips, and tomorrow, by following this algorithm, you will have a bouquet of roses, for example, or a bouquet of lilies of the valley. I am very glad that today's broadcast brought you such insights. Thank you very much. Goodbye.